Perfect, everyone. I'm going to let everyone in.
Florence, we should also we're live streaming. Are we live streaming this? Or
Okay, give me a second.
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
or we can upload the recording later if it's
Yeah,
yeah. Let's upload the video recording later. All good. Let's start.
so
Hi, I just want to make sure my microphone is working. Good morning.
good morning. It's working perfectly.
Great, thank you.
Good
Just a
morning,
moment.
Jota and Patricia.
Good morning, Felipe. Good morning, Lotta.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for the ECOSOC Youth Class. And we are really, really happy to having all of you here. And welcome for the ones that are joining now to the meeting. We are really excited to have you, all of you here in this event that we have prepared for you in this ECOSOC Youth Forum, Youth Compass, and Virtual Youth Class. Now, today we will have an amazing numbers of speakers. Also, we have prepared great different parts of the session for you. And with me, before we start with the meeting, I'm going to introduce you with Gauri that will be also moderating the sessions of today. So first, I want to give the floor to Gauri to introduce herself, and then I will get back also to introduce myself and share a little bit of how it's going to be this amazing session that we have organized for you. So over to you, Gauri.
Thank you so much for that amazing start to our event, Florencio. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in different parts of the world. Thank you for joining us at the UN Youth Compass or Virtual Youth Blast ahead of the ECOSOC Youth Forum. We want this to be a youth briefing for you. And before we move on, I want to talk a little bit about safeguarding and safety issues. First of all, we would recommend that let me share my screen so it'd be easier. All right. Florencio, let me know when you can see my screen, okay? Oops, 1 second. Ow. All right. Am I still connected? Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Just one
Sure.
second, everyone. Perfect. Now I think we
Very
can see it.
apologies. Yeah. So before we begin, want to just go over a few safety issues. So we recommend that your name is your full name or the name of your organization or just your first name if you're comfortable with that. Your pronouns to share are optional, completely up to you. And if you're comfortable, turn on your camera because this meeting's being recorded. So that's probably something you want to consider if you want to turn on your camera. We request that your microphone is muted when our speakers are speaking or when someone else is unmuted to ask a question to ensure a smooth flow of the event, right? And then if you need to ask any questions regarding what our speakers are sharing or what our presenters are sharing, then make sure that you use the chat to share your questions, and we will come back to that in a separate segment where you can ask your questions and where your questions will be asked by either Florencio or myself. And translations are available through live captioning. So you can turn on your captions in the language that you prefer with the option that's at the bottom of your screen. And for any tech issues, you can contact Zoom Help. If it is any other particular issue, maybe put it in the chat and we will try our best to help you. This session is being recorded, like I said, but also please be respectful, mindful of the language that you use and about how inclusive we can be with the language that we use, and also make sure that you are not passing any offensive comments or anything offensive on your video. If you're also minor, then you're recommended to be present here with a chaperone. But also for everyone who's not a minor, be mindful that we have minors, many minors in this call. So that's something that we need to take care of. Again, this is an equal space. We request you to take space, make space, and be respectful of the time limits that we have so that everyone has equal chances to speak and share their opinions and inputs. Um, Additionally, the UN Youth Office has a safe engagement at the UN training available in multiple languages, in 4 languages. So the link to that and more info about that is in the chat. So you're also highly encouraged to access that training because it is important for us to safeguard and make sure that these safety issues are something that we take care of. So that's it for that. Now, before we move on, we have an icebreaker, a very quick icebreaker for all of you. So this is our Mentimeter. You can scan it with your QR code using your mobile devices, or you can go on to menti.com, menti.com, and then type in the code 26031543. Would be nice if Florencio, maybe you could put this in the chat as well. So I'll share the Mentimeter screen next so we can start seeing what answers we get and, just break the ice a little bit. All right, let me share my Menti screen. All right. So I will be sharing this screen very soon. Okay, so this is the Menti code that you can, all right, we see India, Ghana, UK, Indonesia. Wow. So we have an extremely diverse group of young people here, which is amazing. Ethiopia, Indonesia, Egypt. There's Malaysia, there's Tunisia, Morocco, Italy, the US, Thailand, Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, Vietnam. Amazing, amazing. I hope our team is taking some screenshots of this because it looks so beautiful. Loving the diversity in the room. All right, maybe we'll keep this for another like 6 to 10 seconds before we move on. All right. All right, I'm loving that. And please continue to put it in the chat if you're not able to access the Menti, because we'd still love to know where you're from. Okay, so let's go to the next one. What comes to your mind when you think of meaningful youth engagement? Freedom, mental health, innovation, change. Also see future, which I think is very interesting. Connection, the UN. I like to see the UN when we talk about meaningful youth engagement, which is what we're working towards at the UN. That's wonderful. Advocacy, alternative perspective, impactful youth empowerment. Great. Love to see it. Sustainability. Florencio, which one's your favorite?
I've seen so many, and I think that I'm seeing collaboration, leadership, representation, and this is just wonderful. I think that that is really keep me excited to see how many wonderful ideas and also how youth are thinking what really meaningful youth engagement means. So this is really amazing, Gauri.
Of course, yes. Okay, so we're going to document this for sure. But moving on, the next question for you that we have is, oh, was there not one more question? I think there is. Oh, perhaps that was not on Menti. Okay, so the last question that we had for you was, how familiar are you with the ECOSOC Youth Forum? Are you as familiar to, um, this was the third question. It is on Mentimeter. Okay. There's only 75 shown. Okay, Here we go. So we want to know from you how familiar you are with the ECOSOC Youth Forum. You ready? There are no right answers, by the way. Okay. So you're either not familiar at all and this is your first time, which is completely okay. And that's why the space is created, right? Or you read about it before, you've heard about it, but you haven't had the opportunity to participate meaningfully, and that's why you're here. Or you attended ECOSOC before, you've attended related consultations and processes that lead up to ECOSOC Youth Forum. So these were the three categories. And let's see what the results are. Wow, okay, so 65 people said that they're not familiar, this is their first time. 56 said they've read about it, haven't participated before. And very few of us as young people have actually attended the ECOSOC Youth Forum or related events. You know, that says a lot about how and why we're here today, right? Because this is what we want to change. And we are hoping that at the end of this event, at the end of this Youth Compass or Virtual Youth Blast, you will gain much more clarity and feel like you've contributed to the process. So this is what we're trying to change. So thank you so much for participating in this icebreaker, and I hope that you also had fun and realized that, uh, working on the lines of ECOSOC Youth Forum does not have to be boring, and that we are not boring people. So to start off with the UN Youth Compass and Virtual Youth Blast. Just to introduce very quickly, this is our team of presenters. It's Florencio, myself, Yugretna, Same, Paul, Romril from all the coordination team members, and our presentators and facilitators, a long list of amazing humans who helped us put this together and who you'll also hear from very soon. So I won't go too deep into that for now, but yeah, over to you, Florencio.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Gauri, and I hope that everyone gets as excited as I am after we have this amazing ice breaking. And now we are going to talk a little bit more why we are here today, why all of this amazing group of youth people and different partners, colleagues are together for this event that we have here on April 4th. So this Youth Blast Compass and also it's a space that is organized by MGCY and different youth constituencies that is held every year at ECOSOC Youth Forum and in cooperation with the UN Youth Office, the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs, and the EYF partners groups. And the Youth Compass Blast serves as a in-depth capacity building discussion in order to lower the barriers and to provide more equitable space. So we thank everyone that have worked tireless to bring this event together. And in that sense, please help me to give a quick round of applause for everyone that has been involved in this amazing event that we have prepared for you today. And then also, I think that it's important to mention that as we recognize the different challenges that youth face, essentially in how to contribute to different spaces, and also the challenges that comes to in-person participation. This year, MGCY and its partners will be hosting both events. This, that is the Youth Blast on April 4th, and also an in-person Youth Blast Compass with hybrid modalities on the 14th of April. This serves as a crucial youth-led space for capacity building and skills sharing, networking, strategy discussion, and fostering collaborations among youth to finalize the preparations to the ECOSOC Youth Forum. And I think that finally we want to add on this sense of why we are here is this Youth Blood Compass will focus on raising awareness and generating inputs towards the ECOSOC Youth Forum and including incoming consultations and engagement opportunities and gathering inputs and priorities, especially for youth, the youth, and in the report for the High-Level Political Forum Children and Youth Sectoral Paper. Now, as we now move forward to the different sessions that we have or segments that we have for this amazing session, we want to go next to an incredible numbers of speakers that will be doing some opening remarks. And I want to kindly remind all of our speakers that for your interventions, you will have a round of 5 minutes, and we are really excited to hear from all of you. And now, without further ado, I want to introduce our first speaker, and I'm really excited to now give the floor to Felipe Puller, that is the uh, Secretary General for Youth Affairs, and it's been here today to provide some opening remarks. So before I pass the mic to Felipe, we have a question for you, Felipe, that I think that all of the youth leaders that are in this call will be really interesting to hear and hear from your inputs. So as the SDG for Youth Affairs, could you share what the Youth Office is currently doing to promote, support meaningful youth participation in UN intergovernmental processes, and why do you believe this briefing is particularly important moment for this moment in general? So, Felipe, now I'm switching really quickly to Spanish. Un gran placer tenerte con nosotros, and we are really happy to hear from you. So, over to you, Felipe.
Thank you, Florencio. Muchas gracias. Es un gusto también para mí estar por acá. Thank you, Gauri, and thank you everyone involved in organizing and putting in place this space. Of course, the coordination team, Jugradna, Same, Paul, Romeral, but all of the facilitators that have been really putting this session forward. This is a youth-led session, but of course, built with intergenerational and institutional support. So I'm very excited to be here, and allow me also to thank every young person that is connecting. Bienvenidos y bienvenidas. Welcome to all of you. I know that many of you are connecting from very late time zones. Some of you middle night, others in the evening after, I'm sure, a very long day of work or study. So thank you all. I think we're very excited trying to answer very briefly this question, and I think this is kind of similar initiatives we are putting in place as the United Nations Youth Office with many partners. In this case, this is a multi-stakeholder space, and as I said, youth-led. For many years, MGCY and also all the youth partners to the ECOSOC Youth Forum, together with DESA and with many other stakeholders across the years, have been organizing this Youth Blast now, and now we are complementing and saying also that this is part of the UN Youth Compass, which is a flagship initiative that we, from the United Nations Youth Office, that we have a mandate across all the pillars of the United Nations, trying to really, from the institutional perspective, create more paths, more space for young people to participate and to meaningfully influence the intergovernmental process. So this Youth Compass, it's really about how to support, to navigate, how to empower young people, and how to co-shape, how we want to build these spaces, So as Florencio introduced me, I'm Felipe, and I'm serving as Assistant Secretary General for Youth Affairs. We only have one Secretary General in the UN, so who is Antonio Guterres. But I have the honor to be in this role, in this capacity, that itself represents also that the UN is trying to advance in the way the UN is engaging young people, and this has a very clear reason, 50% of the world's population is under 30 years old. So if we really want to have a multilateral system that is shaped for the future, that is able to solve the urgent crisis issues we are facing, we need to bring young people, and we have made progress, but we still have a long way to do. ECOSOC Youth Forum has been an amazing platform for many, many years, one of those that is a clear, good example of what happens when you bring young people into the intergovernmental space. But we believe that we still have a lot to do, and we have a lot of challenges when it's about barriers that young people face, when it's about accessing this space, And as part of this effort, and as I was saying at the beginning, we have been developing with multiple partners, with multiple parts of the UN system, with multiple of youth constituencies, what we call it the UN Youth Compass, which is a tool designed to empower young people and to also build capacity in stakeholders, in institutions, when it's about how to engage young people meaningfully in global policy and decision making. So what we aim is really that youth participation is more diverse, it's more inclusive, and it's more impactful, you know. And we want this Youth Compass to be serving as a central hub for connection, for collaboration, for guidance, you know, and that we can provide, you know. I'm happy to see in this call that most of the young people participating, it might be the first time they will be part of this ECOSOC Youth Forum. So it's really about how to provide clear pathways, resources, and engagement. And what is, for me, most important, create more collaboration, you know. The youth space is extremely diverse, beautifully diverse, you know, and that it's because we need to serve different necessities, you know. We come from different regions, from different countries, you know, but we need more than ever more collaboration, you know. We need to converge, we need to convene more, and that's what we are trying to do. So I'm thankful for all the partners that put in place this structure. We are very proud to be here as part of the UN Youth Office, and thank you once again. And I pass the floor, Florencio, because it's now 5 minutes on my end.
Thank you, Felipe. Thank you so much for shedding light on all these really important points, and also to get us started on this positive note. And before we move on, I also want to say that the bios of our speakers are in the chat for those of you who are asking. And thank you again, Felipe, for that. And next up, I want to welcome our next speaker, Lotta. And Lotta is in the meeting. Can our co-moderator please pin and spotlight? Thank you. So Lotta, thank you so much. It is a pleasure to see you here today, first of all. And my question to you is, we would like to know a little bit about the ECOSOC Youth Forum from you as well, and also how it's being planned, and maybe to share a little bit about why the ECOSOC Youth Forum is unique this year in facilitating conversations among member states, UN systems, young people, and also other stakeholders on the implementation of the 2030 agenda and otherwise. So would love to hear from you on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for having us in this amazing meeting. I have to say, I'm so impressed. I'm looking at the participant numbers and to see that we have almost 600 young people from all around the world joining. It's absolutely tremendous. So a big thank you for the organizers for bringing us together. And I also realized that many of you are not really familiar with the ECOSOC Youth Forum from the past. So this is a wonderful opportunity to shed some light into the forum. What is it trying to achieve, and ways that you can participate? So let me just start by really recalling that ECOSOC, which stands for the UN Economic and Social Council, it's one of the three charter bodies of the United Nations, which means that it has been established in the UN Charter together with the Security Council and the General Assembly. And the ECOSOC has the charter mandate to coordinate the UN's work around economic development, social, and also sustainable development related issues, to develop policy recommendations for member states to consider when they are setting their national policies, and also to provide a space where member states, the United Nations system, and also stakeholders come together to discuss and agree on these types of policies. So the ECOSOC has 54 member states, and it is every year it's led by a president. This year's president is the ambassador of Canada to the United Nations, Ambassador Bob Rae. So just a few words about the Youth Forum, which has really become one of the major events of the Council. This year's ECOSOC Forum, Youth Forum, will be held here in New York in a few weeks' time, from 15 to 17 April. It's convened by Ambassador Bob Ray from Canada as the president of the Council, and it's organized by my department, the Department of Economic and Social Affairs, DESA, together with the UN Youth Office that Felipe is representing on this call, and also many other UN system entities. And importantly, it's co-organized together with youth constituencies, including the Major Group for Children and Youth, MGCY, and the International Coordination Meeting of Youth Organizations, ICMYO, on behalf of the Youth Partners Group. So it really is organized by this large array of different actors, which helps to really bring this richness into the ECOSOC Youth Forum program. Now, we are right now in the final stages of the preparations. The overall theme of the Youth Forum is very much aligned with the annual theme of the ECOSOC and also the UN High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development, which meets later in July. And special focus will be placed on how to empower youth, young people, to harness the power of science and social inclusion to drive sustainable development. The three-day forum, it's going to feature a range of sessions. There's going to be dedicated sessions on 5 sustainable development goals that will be reviewed in depth later by member states and other actors in July at the High-Level Political Forum. And these 5 SDGs include SDG 3 on good health and well-being, SDG 5 on gender equality, SDG 8 on decent work and economic growth, SDG 14 on life below water, and SDG 17 on partnership for goals. And we will also have 2 additional plenary sessions, one on engagement of young people, youth in science and technology, and one on youth engagement around social development. There's also going to be a series of regional breakout sessions where young people can come together and discuss some of the challenges and also opportunities for youth engagement in the different regions of the world. And this year we have a 3rd day for the Youth Forum, which has been added to offer a space for young people to come up with views, recommendations that they want to provide as input to 2 major UN conferences that are organized this year. One is the 4th International Conference on Financing for Development, which will be held in Sevilla, Spain in June. And the other major conference is the 2nd World Summit for Social Development, which will be held in Doha, Qatar in November. The draft program, together with other accompanying information, background notes, etc., are all available online on the Youth Forum website. Now, let me just quickly wrap up. The outcome of the Youth Forum will be firstly a president statement, which will capture the key messages and recommendations, and also an informal summary. In addition, the major youth networks will prepare a so-called Voices of Youth, which reflects their perspectives of the discussions, and all of these outcomes will be made available as inputs to other meetings of the Council, ECOSOC, and also the meeting of the high-level political forum that is held in July. and also the two conferences that I mentioned earlier, the Financing for Development and the Second World Social Summit for Social Development. And lastly, we are already in full swing promoting, doing outreach around the Youth Forum. And I would really like to invite all of you to join us in this outreach effort to raise awareness. There is a Trello board available on the Youth Forum website where we have different outreach materials. And also we're going to be using a hashtag ECOSOC Youth throughout all the promotions. So let me just stop at that. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Laura, for sharing those insightful details and information. And I think that all of the youth that are here on the session value all of the details that you have shared with us today. And now we are going to move on with our next speaker. So now I want to pass the mic to Siad Masani, the Senior Intergovernmental Affairs Officer for the ECOSOC Affairs Branch and the General Assembly and ECOSOC Affairs Division. So as we also did with our previous speakers, Siad, now I have a question for you. And we would like to know, or could you share with us a bit about the focus of the Youth Forum plays in ECOSOC, as well the board scope and engagement in both the forum and the ECOSOC. So over to you, Siad.
Thank you, Florencio. Firstly, I would like to thank the organizers and especially MGCY for inviting me to speak at this event. It's truly an honor to be here with so many passionate and dedicated young leaders. I work in what is known as the Procedural Secretariat, supporting the Economic and Social Council, including the Youth Forum. While procedural mandates might sound dry, I promise to try to keep things lively and relevant at this event. As Gauri mentioned, the Youth Forum is definitely not boring. The preceding distinguished speakers have already provided the key insights into the 2025 session of the forum and the links to the HLPF. I'll focus my remarks on the Youth Forum's home, which is the Economic and Social Council, and the importance of the broad engagement and scope of both the forum and of ECOSOC. Lotta mentioned the status of ECOSOC as one of the principal organs of the UN, along with the General Assembly and the Security Council. ECOSOC has an important role in international economic development. However, the UN Charter also entrusts ECOSOC with responsibilities in social, cultural, educational, health, and related matters, as well as in emphasizing the promotion of human rights and fundamental freedoms for all. So that's Article 62 of the Charter, for those of you that have the pocketbook Charter copies. ECOSOC plays a crucial coordination role within the wider UN system, including with specialized agencies, to review the implementation of policies set by the General Assembly in both economic and social spheres. Over the years, numerous mandates have strengthened ECOSOC's role as a leadership platform for policy dialogues and recommendations, and as an accountability platform for monitoring commitments and reviewing progress. The wide scope of ECOSOC is reflected in its agenda, which includes sustainable development, least developed countries, humanitarian issues, and an overarching item on social and human rights questions, with dedicated sub-items on indigenous issues, human rights, racism, and refugees. Within this context, the Youth Forum is convened annually as part of ECOSOC's session, providing a platform for young people to share their ideas at the global level. At the forum, youth advocates and stakeholders engage in a dialogue with member states to contribute to UN policy discussions, to be heard, and more importantly, to impact these critical processes. When we talk about the 2030 agenda and implementing the Pact for the Future, the meaningful contribution of young people and leaders and the need for accountability mechanisms as part of the UN intergovernmental machinery are paramount. The Youth Forum is unique within the UN intergovernmental calendar by placing youth representatives side by side with ministers and other officials of member states. The seating arrangement and overall participation modalities are not just symbolic. They ensure that youth advocates and stakeholders participate on an equal footing to drive discussions on implementing intergovernmental mandates, including the 2030 agenda. It's important to remember that the Youth Forum has universal participation, ensuring broad involvement of young people, member states, observers of the United Nations, intergovernmental organizations, and other stakeholders. More importantly, the strength of the Youth Forum lies in the participation of the inspiring young leaders and innovators. In closing, I want to mention that this is the 8th Youth Forum that I'll be supporting from DGACM's side in collaboration with DESA and the UN Youth Office. The forum always proves to be the most energetic and dynamic of meetings at the UN, and I'm very much looking forward to the 2025 session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ziad, for those amazing inputs. And thank you for also joining us today. And thank you. So to move on, we would want to hear from a member of MGCY, the organizing partner, in fact, Sameh Kamel. Would be great if we can spotlight Sameh. So Sameh, the question for you is that you've heard from our UN partners and members of UN agencies and UN Yugratna as organizing partners at MGCY have done such a great job at putting all of this together. And so we would love to, and I would love to hear from you about the ECOSOC Youth Forum and, you know, its positioning in the UN system, also to move forward and carry from what our UN speakers have spoken so far, and just share with us what makes this year's ECOSOC Youth Forum special and different from every year. So yeah, over to you, Sameh.
Thank you very much, Gauri, for the floor and for your introduction. Wow, I feel very old that this is going to be my 10th ECOSOC Youth Forum that I attend in person. But yeah, as several of you know, MGCY engages more than 20,000 youth organizations in over 60 intergovernmental and 200 multi-stakeholder processes across all dimensions and pillars of the UN, whether that's sustainable development, human rights, peace and security, resilience and humanitarian action, and beyond. I begin my intervention by calling up for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in all conflicts happening globally. Youth are usually the mass casualty that are left behind, so we're calling for an immediate and permanent ceasefire. Building on from what the previous speakers elaborated, especially Ziad that just preceded me, who's, by the way, a big champion of youth and civil society, ECOSOC Youth Forum is indeed the universal and the largest youth forum around the UN, in the UN system, and in a multilateral system, and arguably around the world. This year's forum would be the largest, with more than 150 side events happening alongside the main program of the forum, through which this youth forum will inform at least 100, if not more, UN processes based on what we counted. I believe you see on the screen the positioning of the youth forum. When it comes to the positioning of the forum, it's referenced and mandated by various intergovernmental and multi-stakeholder processes, some of which you can see on the screen, such as the roadmap of the HLPF, the High-Level Political Forum, the ECOSOC review process in 2024, and most recently, the Pact for the Future, which was the outcome document of the Summit of the Future, recognized the ECOSOC Youth Forum as the avenue for youth stakeholders, and member states to come together. As some of you may know, the forum is a collective effort of the UN agencies and youth constituencies, so all the sessions of the forum are collectively organized. More than 30 youth constituencies and networks are engaged in the different sessions, designs, and implementation. Specifically, when it comes to the central planning or the coordination teams of the forum, it is composed of the actors listed on the screen. This year, something big happened, and we're very excited to share that with you. After a very long process of advocacy, we expanded the ECOSOC Youth Forum Youth Partners Group, which is a group engaged in the central planning or the coordination team of the forum, to be expanded to include representatives from the grassroots youth constituencies, minority youth groups, and youth constituencies relevant to the theme of the session. This governance structure, we believe, leads to a system where the diversity of youth actors involved in the youth forum, both thematic, youth constituencies, and partner groups, are the most diverse and inclusive set of groups when juxtaposed with the governance of the Youth 2030 and the Pact for the Future Youth Working Group. Having said all this, As MGCY, we have following additional recommendations and announcements for you. First, this virtual Youth Blast is not a standalone session. It is to be complemented by an in-person Youth Blast taking place April 14th in New York, and we'll be holding a similar and bigger briefing, which will also be in-person and virtual. There will also be both in-person and virtual similar events for upcoming avenues, such as the Financing for Development Conference that Lotta was mentioning, the High-Level Political Forum, and the UN General Assembly, and its committee meetings, and much more to enable young people to engage meaningfully in all these processes. We especially will schedule such briefings in much advance of these avenues, in addition to immediately before, so young people have more opportunities to engage. Second, in a world that has shrinking space for civil society and youth representation, and has seen some recent backsliding on multilateralism, we believe in the power of youth globally to drive transformative change. Children and youth, especially those in the front lines, must be at the front seat of driving these changes at the UN and beyond. Meaningful youth engagement has to continue to keep moving from theory to action. We need to implement what we're talking about. We continue to embrace the diversity in which young people organize on local, regional, and global levels and advocate for universal and equitable participation of all. We also reject any ideological imperialism that is not aligned with day-to-day realities of young people and believe that the power of defining and shaping meaningful youth engagement lies in the hands of young people themselves. Having said this, building on the work of MGCY does across more than 200 UN processes, we are pleased to announce that in the lead-up of next year's Youth Forum, and as part of the Youth Forum cycle, we aim to host a global stock-taking meeting on meaningful youth engagement and action to bring together young groups, UN systems, and beyond, to take stock on how they are engaging young people, what they can do better, and how does youth-led accountability look like. We look forward to co-shaping all of this with you. Thank you very much. Back to you, Florencio. Gori, sorry.
Yes, over to Florencio on that. Thank you, Sami. Florencio, are you here with us? All right.
I think Florencio is muted.
Florencio, yes, you're muted. There we
Perfect.
go.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. So thank you so much for all of our speakers for the incredible interventions, and we are really glad to hear all of the plans that we have for the ECOSOC Youth Forum and also how youth can meaningfully engage. So now we are going to move to an interactive Q&A. Through the session, we ask you to please share all of the questions that you might have to our speakers, and our team has been gathering some of the questions that we are going to address. So on this stage, I'm going to share or going to spot two questions to our speakers, and we kindly also ask you to respond on those in around 1 minute. So then we can also give the space for the different interventions or also further questions that we have from our audience. So I want to start with the first questions that we have here and our team has been gathering. And it's regarding if there is a way to become involved in the ECOSOC Youth Forum side events. That is the first question that we have. And also, there is another question regarding about the Youth Forum logistics and organizations and how youth can engage during the days that the ECOSOC Youth Forum will take place. So I will ask our speakers to please, if you have some inputs in those two questions that have been brought for our audience, first in terms of how they can engage in the side events, and also another one regarding of the logistics and organization for all of the planning that we have for the ECOSOC Youth Forum. So in that sense, if Felipe, Samet, Laura, or side have some inputs on that, we'll be happy to hear from you.
Thank you, Florencio. I will break the ice, and I will say something that it's not maybe directly addressing the specificities, but I think it has to do with the substance of what I believe is the most important thing happening these days. You know, the power of ECOSOC Youth Forum is the power of young people. You know, it's the power of connecting multiple and diverse young people coming from diverse backgrounds, facing diverse realities every day, and what the young people are, no active change makers. So I think that the most important way of navigating this complexity, because as you were saying, there's going to be, as Samuel was saying, I think more than 100 side events. So there's going to be things happening inside the UN headquarters, outside the UN headquarters. So I think that my encourage is participate in the meeting that MGCY is going to convene at the beginning in person for those that are going to be in person, because you will get the whole details of many things that are happening. I think that I encourage you to make a lot of WhatsApp groups with people you meet during those days, you know, so you can get access, you know. And my also message is it will be great that you can connect during these the first days in ECOSOC, with someone that has already navigated ECOSOC Forum, because those young people will be the best mentors to navigate across it and to understand what you can get the most from everything. But the most important thing at the end for me is the network you are building, you know. And I hope that when you are back from this ECOSOC Youth Forum, for those that can have an opportunity to be engaged in person, you have a lot of new numbers in your phones, you have a lot of new young people you can connect, and you're connected to multiple networks.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Felipe, for sharing this important insight, and definitely it's a way to connect and also to create a further impact after the ECOSOC Youth Forum. So Lota, go ahead.
Thank you, and sorry, my virtual raise hand button is not working, so I'm doing it the old-fashioned way. So we are almost ready to share the program for the side events. We are in the final stages of fine-tuning it. It's going to be made available on the Youth Forum website. And what I wanted to stress is that it's going to be a mixture of both in-person and virtual side events. So even if you are not able to be in person in New York, you will still be able to participate in the many virtual side events that will be held. We're expecting about 30 side events to be held in person. Inside the UN HQ. We're going to have a large number of side events also held in person around New York City. And then, as I said, a large number of side events that will be held virtually. So with these virtual side events, we want to make sure that if you are not able to be in New York in person, you can still take part of the discussions. And importantly, just to mention that all the meetings, the formal meetings of the Youth Forum will also be webcast. They will be available on UN Web TV, so you can also follow those sessions no matter where in the world you are. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lota. And in the case of Siad or Samet wants to add also on this point, please feel free to intervene.
Yes, thank you, Florencio. I just wanted to add one thing to what Felipe was saying, is that the ECOSOC Youth Forum is an excellent avenue of engagement. The friendships that you will build at the ECOSOC Youth Forum, you will continue utilizing for the rest of your life, and I really mean the rest of your life. People that I met at the ECOSOC Youth Forum 10 years ago, we're still working together today. And we're still engaged in multiple advocacy areas together. So it's not just that the thematic contribution or the advocacy that you're getting from the ECOSOC Youth Forum, which is also very important, but also the friendships that you will win at the forum itself will benefit you for the rest of your life. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Samet. And Sia, did you have also something else to add on this first set of questions?
Thank you, Florencio. No, I don't have much to add. Lotte already mentioned that it will be webcast, both live and archived on UN Web TV. And maybe just to note that as in recent years, I understand there's also a informal, a moderated chat platform for those who are not in person, and contributions can come in, through that avenue as well. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Siad. And also the next question that come more from the different youth was essentially how they can engage for those that won't be present, and ECOSOC if there will be avenues to participate virtually. But I think that also Lotte already shared some insights in the side events are also different avenues that will be on that sense. So with that being said, we are now going to move on to the next session or segment that we have prepared for today. So first I want to say thank you to all of our speakers, and please give them a round of applause for all of these great interventions. Also for those that might have more questions, please, we will have a few more minutes in a second segment where you can bring also some other questions to the different segments that we are going to explain. So now I want to give the floor to Jugradna, who also is going to share on different ways to engage meaningful at the Youth Forum. So Jugradna, I welcome you to now take the floor and share more details in terms of how youth can also meaningfully engage during the ECOSOC Youth Forum. So over to you, Jugradna.
Thank you very much, Florencio. And I just want to go ahead and, Gauri, if you have that deck, you might want to refresh it because we added certain things. Or I can share my screen, maybe that's easier. And thanks to all the speakers that have very greatly talked about the different aspects of the forum already. So I think building on what from Same, my colleague earlier mentioned, right? So this year's Youth Forum is transformational in many levels because we were able to expand the number of youth groups that are engaged in the forum, especially on the central planning level. So Gauri, if you go back to 2 slides ahead where we had central planning, just to highlight that young people that have traditionally not been included. Go back a few more slides.
Yogratna, perhaps you want to share screen because it hasn't refreshed in mine.
To the central planning slide, the one that Same was presenting.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
There we go.
So just to highlight that when it comes to the central planning of the forum, as you can see, there are groups that are involved that are in the core team or the coordination team, as you can see. So president of ECOSOC, UNDESA, YANED, which is the Interagency Network on Youth Development that brings together more than 53 UN agencies across the UN system to work on this. And then the Youth Partners Group specifically was expanded this year to include more diverse voices because they have been missing from sort of the core planning of the forum. However, this is in addition to the substantive planning, which are the different sessions. So Gauri, if you go on to the next slide, which is on the planning. So the way the substantive planning of the forum happens, so how the different sessions are organized, you basically have each session co-organized by youth constituencies and UN agencies that are relevant to that process. And youth constituencies are the broadest sort of platform that are mandated on a particular theme, whereas co-organizers are for the youth groups that are interested through an open, engaged through an open process. A lot of work is done in advance, as you can see on the slide, including preparatory consultations. So there were almost 5 regional youth forums that took place in lead up to the ECOSOC Youth Forum. And this is really central to understand. So the ECOSOC Youth Forum is not just a standalone event that, happens in New York, but it's actually a culmination of various preparatory processes, various regional processes, various thematic processes that then come together. Therefore, we really want to highlight the fact that when future processes are planned, right, including youth engagement in upcoming moments this year, this is built off the existing avenues that we already have. And Dessa already covered this, Lotta already covered this in terms of the sessions that exist. Plenary, closing plenary in different thematic sessions, and you can see that on the program as well. On side events, a lot has been said already, but I want to highlight that this year, youth groups that were not accredited to ECOSOC and that did not have a UN or a member state as a partner could also apply for the side event. So this was a thing that we did in order to expand access for young people from grassroots organizations, specifically youth groups that do not have that resources to be in New York or engage, to be able to contribute to sort of the program of the forum, that you can still engage and apply for a side event. And many side events you would see when the list comes out, you would see that they are youth groups that do not have a ECOSOC status or are not having, resourceful groups as partners that are still able to organize the side event. On outcome document, in the order of priority that we see it, so the Voices of Youth report that is written by young people themselves, and this process for that has been going on for a while, and this would also be an annex to the sectoral paper for the HLPF. And then there will be a precedent summary, which is very important, and that was generated by ECOSOC precedent. But very important to highlight this, that the youth and UN co-leads feed into that summary. So it's actually a co-designed summary. And this year's Youth Forum informs various sessions for formal sessions. So the formal program of the forum informs the HLPF, the Financing for Development Conference in Spain, the World Social Summit, discussions on GA committee, especially the third committee, and other processes such as the follow-up of the Pact for the Future and World Program of Action on Youth. And based on what Same said earlier, that we counted over 100 UN processes are encompassed if you look at the side events as well, in addition to the formal sessions. If you go to the next slide, just in very quickly on how to get involved. And I'm focusing a little bit on, virtual involvement. So because I know that young people that are coming on the ground would, of course, engage at the Youth Blast that is taking place on the 14th. Hopefully, many of you will be there. And the Youth Blast on 14th is also going to be hybrid. So young people that are not in New York can also join and engage. Preparatory consultations, you will hear more about them soon. So each of the sessions that are there have preparatory consultation. There are also virtual side events that we already talked about it. There's also going to be ways for young people to engage in the drafting of the outcome document, because the outcome document, especially the Voices of Youth report and the HLPF Youth and Children sectoral paper, which is contributing not just to HLPF, but also to other avenues. It's a universal document. So it doesn't matter if you're in New York or not in New York, you can actually contribute to that outcome document by sharing your perspectives, and specifically perspectives of youth groups that are coming from marginalized communities, from communities that are not often represented at the UN, would be critical towards shaping this. And then again, as DGACM mentioned, we would have some kind of a Mentimeter or chat function that would allow virtual participants to still contribute to the discussions of the forum. And then we already talked about outcome documents. I think as we continue discussing this, once again, I want to highlight the universal nature of the Youth Forum, that this is really the space. It is the UN's Youth Forum that brings together all member states, all youth stakeholders, and all UN agencies to engage and contribute to the discussion, and how this is not a one-off event, but a whole process that builds on over the year and is then pivoted towards mainstreaming voices and engagement of young people throughout the UN system even further. Over to you, Florencio.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jugradna, for sharing all of the information in terms of how it's important, this ECOSOC Youth Forum, but also the different avenues that youth will have to participate. And also in that end, now we want to bring the different speakers that have planned the different sessions and also are organizing different pre-consultations during the ECOSOC Youth Forum and before the ECOSOC Youth Forum. And for that, I'm going to call the different speakers that will be sharing their plans and also all of the activities that they have organized on this extent. So I want to kindly remind our next speakers that you will have around 1 minute to briefly summarize all of your plans or the plans that are for ECOSOC Youth Forum. And then also we can share to all of our participants the events that are on this regard. So first, I want to welcome Erica from UN Women that is going to share a little bit also the plans that all of the youths and also the different partners that have been coordinating for ECOSOC. So over to you, Erica, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Florencio, and thank you everybody online. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Huge thanks and appreciation to MGCY for extending this invitation to share a little bit more around the SDG 5 session. So this session, Strengthening Institutions for Gender Equality and Youth Participation in Sustainable Development and Peace Building, has a very strong focus and look at the nexus between gender equality and peacekeeping and young feminist role in peacekeeping. We are doing this in collaboration with some partners who are on the call, namely those from the Gender Youth Caucus with MGCY, as a number of youth-led organizations, including the World Organization of the Scout Movement, and other youth partners that you can see as session co-organizers. I don't want to take up too much time. I know I only have a minute, but I will share that we've had a number of pre-consultations. There is one that is scheduled for this upcoming Monday. And so with that, I will share in the chat the X handle that we will have this X space on. And we do hope that folks are able to join. On our profile, we already have a reminder link that you can save or bookmark for yourself for this X space. And then in addition, I will also drop our general youth engagement email for you and women in the chat if you have any questions. But as you can see here, the date, time, and location of our space on SDG 5 is here on the screen. So yeah, I won't take further time, but I will drop those details in the chat just now. And thank you once again for the opportunity to share a bit more.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Erica. And now we are moving to our next speaker. That will be our colleagues from the Distinct Work constituency that also will be sharing a bit of what are the plans for this end. So I want to call my colleague Malhed to share also the plans for this session. So over to you, Malhed.
Mallet, are you there? All right, maybe we can come back to that if Mallet isn't here in the meeting. Mallet is here. I've asked to unmute. Okay, we will move on and come back. Is that okay, Florencio?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Gauri, and then we can get back to Malhed. So now I want to invite our colleagues that are organizing the sessions around ocean. So each Ishwari, please feel free to take the floor.
Thank you, Florencio and Gauri. So good day, everyone. It's an honor to be here today to introduce our session that is aimed at not only mobilizing and empowering youth, but also to drive meaningful action for our ocean's future. As we face escalating threats like acidification, ocean warming, and pollution, the ocean, which is our life source, is at peril. This is a call to action we cannot ignore. In 2025, the stakes are even higher as we aim to meet critical targets like the Global Biodiversity Goals and advance SDG 14, which will help safeguard marine ecosystems for our future generations. This year marks a pivotal moment for our ocean action, culminating in key events like the UN Ocean Conference, the High-Level Political Forum, making it a decisive year for the health of our oceans. Our session, A Sea of Opportunities, will spotlight the incredible role young people are playing in ocean sustainability. On 15th of April from 4:30 to 6 p.m., we will gather to discuss the pressing issues the ocean faces and explore youth-led innovations that are changing the game. With key partners like UNDESA, UNESCO, UNEP, and the Oceans Youth Constituency, comprising MGCY and YENGO, we will highlight how youth-inclusive partnerships are accelerating progress towards SDG 14 and how we can be part of the solution. And what's even more exciting is we are inviting young leaders to share their ocean-related innovations through short video submissions due by April 7th. These videos will be compiled into a powerful showcase displayed during our session to inspire all of us to act. So if you're working on a project, campaign, or innovation to protect our oceans, or if you know anyone, now is your chance to amplify your voice. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Iswari. And now I want to welcome our colleague Sergio, who is going to share also what is being planned for the session of financial development. So over to you, Sergio.
Thank you very much, Florencio. Hello, everybody. A pleasure and thank you for the invitation. So I'm a youth employment specialist from the International Labor Office. So before I start, I just would like to highlight the importance of all those youth representing employers and workers organizations, since the ILO is a tripartite organization. So for this session, what we are really focusing on is the green economy, and particularly, of course, about financing, but also partnerships and everything that is related to the world of work. So we are co-leading with the Decent Work and Sustainable Economies Youth Caucus, and it's been a really great pleasure to work with them. And as co-organizers, we have UNEP, we have the High Commissioner for Human Rights Office, the Financing for Sustainable Development Office of DESA, and the UN Global Compact. So we are really focusing this session on three main topics, if you want. So we really want to understand the green economy. So what is happening there? And I think that it's a big understanding also from the interest coming from young people. Then we want to check the financing mechanisms and opportunities. And finally, the successful initiatives and impactful partnerships. So that the discussion will revolve around those three areas. And we have a pre-consultation survey open that is going to close on 14th of April. There you have the QR code, and we will be really appreciative if you can participate into this survey to give more feedback, especially to those who are not going to be physically during the ECOSOC Youth Forum. And I will stop there. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sergio, for sharing also the plans for the ECOSOC Youth Forum and for this session. And now I would like to welcome our colleague Sonja and also Gala, that is going to share also the activities for the health session. So over to you.
Yes. Thank you for the floor. And then I just need to confirm, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, thank you for confirming. So hi all, I'm Gava. I'm here on behalf of the SDG3 thematic session, which will take place on April 15th with the theme of navigating health, adolescent, and youth in a digital world. So this session is actually co-led and co-organized by WHO, UNFPA, UNICEF, Commonwealth Health Youth Network as part of MGCY, IFMSA, IPSF, and co-organized by UNODC, UNAIDS, and WHO Youth Council. So basically, as we know it, that nowadays, digital technology has been penetrating that our daily life. I think like 80% of our daily life is based on like digital things. So that's why I believe addressing the role, like we believe in the SDG3 thematic session, that addressing the role of digital determinants in shaping adolescents' health outcomes is very important. So that's why in ECOSOC Youth Forum, as explained by my colleagues like previously, so the very purpose of this event is actually to provide youth input. And for this thematic session is specifically for SDG3 review to give input for the HLPF processes. So basically what we're going to do here is actually to showcase like youth-led and innovative solutions, which consist of like a peer-driven health advocacy. So there will be like some panel and also like some interactive discussion, as well as like we're going to cover the topic of HR and also like mental health. And now we have the pre-consultation, like it's still ongoing. So we actually have been conducting this pre-consultation since 25th of March. So we split it into like 2 weeks. So this week, we're going to focus on like the discussion. So we're using Spark Blue platform by UNDP. And then here's the link. I think one of my colleagues will actually share it in the chat box. So please feel free to provide your input. And then like, yeah, I'm gonna stop here. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Gala. And now I want to give the floor to our colleagues that are organizing the session on digital and emerging tech. So I want to call Josh from the SPI Youth Platform. So over to you, Josh.
Yash, are you here with us? I'm pretty sure Yash is here. Ask to unmute. Yash, you're on mute.
Hello.
There you
Thank
go.
you so much. We also have a colleague from ITU. If you're here, can you please raise your hand? Or turn your camera on. Okay, I see you, Rui. Okay. Are you able to unmute? I pinned him, Gauri. Can you unmute him? Can you try it now, Rui?
You pick him.
Hi, how are you?
Not
It's
Javier.
sorry. Yash, I don't see a pin.
Gauri, it's the person with the name ITU New York. If you search ITU New York, you can make him a co-host.
Okay.
Of course, it's the technology session which has technical difficulties,
Hi
everyone.
everyone. Sorry for the taking some time to unmute ourselves. Maybe I can start,
No.
Yash, and then I can hand over to you. Hi everybody, this is Ray from ITU International Telecommunication Union, and I'm here with my friend and colleague Yash. So this session on youth science and technology is scheduled on the final day, the afternoon from 3 to 4:30. It's co-organized by ITU and the MGCY SPI youth platform and the list of the partners that you can see on the screen. So this session basically will provide an opportunity to share best practices in educating and preparing youth for responsible engagement with technology. So it will also highlight some innovative models developed with and for young people, and also to demonstrate how emerging technologies, including AI, can help address critical global challenges that we are facing. So including poverty, humanitarian crisis, and climate change. And with that, let me hand over to Yash to speak about the pre-consultation process. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rui. The pre-consultation is an online form that you can access using the QR code. I'm also putting in the chat. It essentially has 3 questions and will inform the interactive segment of the plenary. And we invite you to join the breakout group so we can share more details.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Josh. And now we move forward towards the second World Summit, and I want to call our colleague Naveen Gautam for CDWD Youth Stakeholder Group.
Thank you. Am I audible, Florencio?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Florencio and Gauri, for the wonderful moderation. And of course, hi, everyone. Jai Bhim, Uhuru, Lente, Salve, Opal Roma. And this is huge speaking in front of 600 people. I'm Naveen Gautam from Global Forum of Communities Discriminated on Work and Decent. And I'm thrilled to share about an exciting session and a dialogue to shape global conversation on social justice and development, which is scheduled on April 17th from 4:30 p.m. to 5:45 p.m. And the dynamic session being co-led by UNDESA and Global Youth Initiative on Social Inclusion, alongside co-organized by CDWD Stakeholders Group and Global Indigenous Youth Caucus. And of course, this session is all about youth power, strength, and representation, especially from the marginalized lens, ahead to the second World Social Summit. And quickly, as we come to the main objective, the main objective is to engage more youth voices from across globally, and of course, to build an ongoing consultations for the high-level political forum and second World Social Summit, and creating a safe and inclusive space where young people, especially those who have often been left out, can share their priorities, especially from the marginalized communities, including indigenous groups, communities discriminated on work and decent, person with disability, migrants, refugees, non-binaries, and of course, many others. And not only this, you can also turn your voices into actions where we can, we want your inputs to influence global reports, shape policies, and highlight youth-led solutions for a real social change. And we are not stopping here. There is much more before we are getting into the sessions. We have a youth survey. I'll put the link in the chat itself. And we also have another activity, what you can say, where you can send us a photo or a video with your name, country, and one key demand. I repeat, one key demand for the world leaders at the social summit. You can email it. The email is already mentioned over there. And we are also trying to roll out a youth dialogue series leading up to the second World Social Summit, wherein we are also planning to have pre-consultations with youth from stakeholders group on CWD, Global Indigenous Youth Caucus. So let's make sure the world actually hears us loud and clear. Your voice really matters. Thank you, Florencia.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Naveen. And now I call our colleague Romel Ortiz from the UN Youth Office also to share a bit on the session that they are planning. So over to you, Romel.
Thank you so much, Florencio, and hi everyone. So we are very pleased on behalf of the UN Youth Office with partners to share that on the second day of the ECOSOC Youth Forum, Wednesday, 16 April, we'll have a full afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. focusing on meaningful youth participation and really unpacking what this means. It has been at the core of the conversation and of course at the core of forums like the ECOSOC Youth Forum. So we'll have two segments, one that will go a little bit more on the conceptual level to understand which are the principles that are part or should be the foundation for meaningful youth participation, also aligning with one of the actions and commitment from the Pact for the Future. And then a second segment where we'll be showcasing and inviting different stakeholders from young people to decision makers to share good practices on how to engage meaningfully and impactfully young people at policymaking, decision-making at various levels from local to global. This is organized with the ECOSOC Youth Forum, of course, youth partners, ICMIO, MGCY, and also the Youth Reference Group of the UN Youth Office. And we are very excited to really build and advance, enhance foundation around meaningful youth participation. So we invite you all to join. Thank you, Florencio, back to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Romero. And now for the last part, we want to invite our colleagues that are organizing the regional sessions to take the floor and also share a bit of what you have planned for ECOSOC Youth Forum. We're checking if they are here.
In the meeting. All right. Riju's here in the meeting. I'm asking to unmute. Also, I recall that Malet had to do the session on decent work, if I'm not wrong. So Malet, if you want, we can go back and do yours if you're back now.
Hi, Gauri. Should I go first or?
Okay, Riju's here. Maybe you can finish the regional session. Go ahead, Riju.
Yeah, hi everyone. This is Rizu, and we are doing a regional session, and we are from the Asia Pacific region. So we will be organizing this on the second day of the ECOSOC Youth Forum, and it is at 10 to 11:30, and we will be delving into details on the youth perspectives, on the progress, challenges, and take stock on the updates on SDG 3, 5, 8, 14, and 17 from a regional perspective. Also taking stock of the APFST Youth Forum that was held in February this year.
Thanks so much, Rizu. If there's any other regional sessions that wants to go, can also go. Malet, are you in the meeting? Okay, I think Malet is facing technical difficulties. Does anybody else
Can you hear me now?
Yes, there we go.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, great to be here, everyone. Our session is on SDG 8, ensuring decent work and economic opportunity for youth, and will be on Tuesday, April 15. And the session will explore transformative action to tackle youth employment and promote decent jobs. highlighting the youth-led initiative and partnership that creates inclusive job opportunities, particularly for vulnerable groups. And the discussion will focus on equitable labor market, skill development, and youth entrepreneurship. And on and we also have interactive discussion. We will invite ministers, policy makers, and youth representatives to exchange insight on shaping policies that support economic security and sustainable employment for young people. And participants are encouraged to engage in outgoing online consultation on youth foresight to contribute their perspective on the future of the work. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Malet. I'm a little mindful of the time. I think it would be better to move on to the breakout rooms so that there's more interaction.
Gauri, there is a
Between
slide about virtual networking, which is very important. Can you go to that?
this one, right?
You might want to refresh it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can start and I'll share
Yeah.
simultaneously.
Yeah, and because this is part of the official program of the forum as well, and it is really important, especially for young people that are wanting to engage virtually. Um, and so there will be, for those of you that are, not going to be in New York and wanting to engage virtually, there is a virtual networking reception that will take place on the morning of day 2 from 16th April from 8:30 a.m. to 9:45 a.m. New York time. Registration is now open, so the Zoom links for joining will be shared, and hopefully we can share that already with people that are in this call. And just to highlight that this session will feature two kind of things. So like there'll be one-to-one-on-one networking, but there will also be topic specific networking and discussion. So we hope to have at least 20 breakout rooms in that, including but not limited to AI, climate change, peace and security, nexus issues, emerging issues, follow-up of the summit of the future, etc. And the reason I'm highlighting this here, or we're highlighting this here, is because this session is part of the formal program of the forum. So this is a youth-led virtual session that's actually part of the official forum program. And therefore the discussions in this would also feed into the outcomes document and the president's summary, etc. So we really encourage you to join it. The registrations are open, and the link is there, and I'll also put the link in the chat. And just to highlight that you can find all information on ECOSOC Youth Forum and its preparatory activities at linktree.com/ECOSOC Youth Forum. So if you go there, all the different preparatory activities that have been shared by different speakers just before this, and also in lead up to the slide, you will find them there, all the thematic section. I don't know, Gauri, if you're able to open that link and show people on your computer how it looks, that would be great. Yeah. No, the link tree. If you go to the slide, the link tree that is there, linktree.com/ECOSOC Youth Forum. Yeah, that one. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hopefully it opens. Yeah. So you can see the registration for the virtual reception, and then you can also see all the different surveys and consultations on different topics that have been mentioned by colleagues before, have been are included on this. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Yog. The link to that I'll just put in the chat if someone wants to access. And do you suggest that we have another brief interaction? Or I think we can have one, like we can have a few minutes at least, because there are questions that needed to be addressed. So, all right. So do we want to ask any questions? Florencio, do you want to take any lead on that? Or we can go ahead and address them in the breakout rooms. I think that's better, right? Because there will be interaction among young people.
Exactly. Thank you so much, everyone that shared their points. So now we are moving to the breakout room. So in those spaces, you will have also to have a more deep interaction with all of our speakers, and also address some of the different questions that you might have regarding to the session. So my colleague Guri is going to also explain how these breakout rooms will work and will be distributed.
Yes, so we will have breakout rooms in 12 different areas, all the different thematic areas that our colleagues presented on for the past few minutes, along with 3 additional rooms on peace and security, and then human rights, and also on a follow-up on the Pact for the Future, which came out after the Summit of the Future last year in September. And then there's also on resilience and humanitarian action, but that's not an additional one, as you know. So I will be opening breakout rooms now. You're free to join whichever breakout rooms. If you're not familiar how to join, then there would probably be like a square icon at the bottom of your screen. So you can click on that, and then you can see the list of breakout rooms, select the one that you would prefer, and then click on join, and then join again. So I will open the breakout rooms in a second. All right. So the rooms are open right now. Feel free to scroll and explore the different rooms and join as soon as possible, so that any questions you have also you can ask our colleagues or anybody who's worked with us on this. Okay, I see people have started to join anyway, so that's great. We also have a very important session on meaningful youth engagement after the breakout room, so please come back for the reporting.
Hello. Sorry, I'm supposed to moderate one of the sessions, the MYP one. Is it possible to put with me in that room? Yeah,
I
thank
can
you.
put you there. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Corey, can you put me in the human rights one? I'm not able to join it.
Not able to access the room. Are people able to access the room? I'm trying to see.
Yes, so people go to, if you're on your computer, you would see an option at.
Would also request all participants to mute. Actually, let me just do it. Okay, great. So this is the info on the virtual networking session, that if in case you weren't able to finish today, then please feel free to join the session. In fact, we encourage you to do so. So we'll move on to the report back from the breakouts. First up, we have from the gender session. It was supposed to be Erica, but I think we were informed that it'll be Aisha. Aisha, are you here with us? I request all the report back sessions to be a max of 30 seconds because we want to be mindful of the space and the time that everyone has. Okay, Aisha, if you're here, please feel free to unmute and carry on. Aisha from the gender breakout room, are you here with us? Or Erica, if you're still in here. Erica's not here. Aisha is here. I will ask to unmute. Yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aisha from Nigeria. So I was part of the gender equality session, and we spoke about a lot. One thing that was very prominent was about maxillary toxicity. Most of the ladies raised an issue about maxillary toxicity happening in the various parts of the world. There was a lady from India that says they lack access to mentorship, they lack access to advocacy. There was also a guy on the group that also talked about how he's currently in the university, but he has been able to form a group of women whereby they are actually assisting other women in terms of advocacy and engagement. We also talk about representation of women in politics and in high positions. Basically, it was just about trying to talk about how women can actually get more visible, and mostly on glass ceiling and glass cliffs. All these were spoke about because we noticed that the level at which women are being represented is very low. There's gender inequality. Women are not gender-based violence. Personally, for me in Nigeria, for instance, we're having that issue currently whereby we have a senator that is being charged for gender-based violence. And you need to see the level at which the men we are supporting of the men. Like the women were not giving much support. So basically our conversation was just about like getting more visible and getting access to all the leadership sustainability in the society. So that would be that for us.
Aisha, thank you so much. Next up, the breakout room on decent work. Malet, would you like to report back? And I request you to keep it extremely short, like 30 seconds. Malet, are you here? All right. I don't see Malet. Oh yeah, I do see Malet. Okay, maybe we will move on. Is that someone from that breakout room? Murtala Muhammad. Please feel free to share if there's anyone else from the room.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, were you in the second breakout room, which was on decent work?
Okay, in addition of what Aisha says from Nigeria, I guess it is the issue of Senator Natasha, which is the issue went
Sorry to cut you
viral.
off, but could we come back to you on that in a while, or you can put in chat, just being mindful of the time because we need to do the report back. But thank you so much. I would highly encourage you to put that in chat. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. I think we'll come back to decent work in a while since I don't see Malet.
No,
Can you
hey,
hear me?
I'm here. I was
Can you
also
hear me?
here in the background room.
Were you in the decent work room? Yeah, please go
Marcel.
ahead.
Okay, who's talking now? Okay, so I was in the breakroom room and we discussed a gap between the educational content and the skills. So it was focused that the young people they need more skills that are focused what they need for working. So this was and also included AI. Yeah, that was a topical.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that report back. Next up, the breakout room from Oceans. Pamira or anyone else who was in the breakout room. Shannon, please go ahead.
Yes, thanks so much, Gary. Thankfully, Palmyra and we made it through the breakout, but I think Palmyra is having a bit of connection issues now. So I'll just give a quick summary. We had a quite an ambitious discussion, I think, for just 25 minutes. So of course, couldn't wrap up everything there, but we largely focused on how youth are actively contributing to the development of an ocean literate society and achieving SDG 14. And there was a lot shared about the role of youth in igniting action and mobilizing all different sectors and stakeholder groups of society to take action on the oceans. That's sometimes the problem with ocean science and any field of science, can be that it kind of stops at research, but youth movements are able to take this forward and actually do the groundwork, or should I say water work, needed to improve the oceans instead of just speaking about it or only communicating in sort of echo chambers. And then we also discussed a bit about how youth are critical actors in connecting, local communities, especially from SIDS and LDCs, who rely on the oceans, connecting their voices to, broader movements and broader policy-making processes, and the role of youth in that international cooperation and making those connections. So I'll stop here, Gari, just in the interest of time, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Shannon. The next one was on the the fourth financing development for development conference. Sergio, are you here? Please raise your hand so I can help you unmute.
Thank you, Gary.
People, thanks.
Thank you very much. So in a nutshell, so I think that the discussion revolves around the opportunities of funding for development, especially for young people. So in the different activities and in different ideas that they have to put in place. So the explanation was that the session is going to revolve around 3 topics because SDG 17 is quite extensive, so it's partnerships for sustainable developments. So for this time, we will focus really on funding for development because the big conference is coming. So we also would like to influence from youth voices about what's going to be taken as conclusions there. And we're linking this to the different partnerships. So in general, but also those that are quite serve as quite good practices, like the Decent Jobs for Youth Global Initiative or the Green Jobs for Youth Pact, and all this linked to the green economy. So the idea is really, and the question came how we can influence the funding systems and mechanisms to support further young people in the green economy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sergio. Moving on, we have the breakout room on health. This was moderated by Gawa, I think. Gawa, are you here?
Yes. Yeah. I'm here. So yeah, I think we had a wonderful discussion for 20 minutes actually, because like for the last 5 minutes of the session, I experienced like a technical issue, so I couldn't actually join. But yeah, we actually discussed a lot of new ideas, and then like how can we actually promote like interlinkages in SDG, which is actually a new thing, and it is actually a good thing, because I think we haven't actually really explored that field yet. And also like there were several questions about about the consultations, as well as like the session itself, and then like how could like youth from all over the world could contribute more to the ECOSOC Youth Forum itself. So yeah, I think 30 seconds. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks again. Wonderful. Would be great if all our report backs can be this concise. Next up, we have the breakout room on digital and emerging tech. Yash, would you like to report on that? Thanks. Yash, are you here? Please raise your hand if you're unable to unmute. I can ask you to unmute. Or anyone else. Oh yeah, Yash, there you go.
Thank you so much, Gauri. Very briefly, we had around 50 people in the room. We discussed how young people can get involved with science policy at local, regional, and global level. We discussed the various conferences that are coming up, SDI Forum, even the Oceans Forum, and COP, and how science is a cross-cutting issue. And locally, we talked about technology facilitation mechanism, the Global Digital Compact, and how people can get involved and synergize with that, and how MGCY and SBI accredited people to these processes. And I'm going to put in chat our broader discussion points.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I think that's a good idea. For if there's additional points, please put in the chat, everyone. Thank you so much, Yash. The next one was on the Second World Social Summit. Arpan, I think that was your room. Would you like to report back on that? Is Arpan in the room with us? Yes, Arpan.
Hello, I'll keep it short and concise as well. For the second social summit, the general idea was that we need more governmental agencies to engage with youth, particularly when it comes to policymaking and well-being, and that there cannot be any progress towards social well-being or social summit without meaningfully engaging youth and getting their perspectives in it. And one of the ideas that came up was, an example that the EU is leading, where they're having these youth parliamentary sessions that are engaging more and more young people. And that can be a template for more governmental agencies around the world to follow. And that way we can get where the youth are and what their perspectives are in getting a overall social well-being summit. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Arpan. Thank you so much. Okay, the next room was on meaningful youth participation. Romril, I suppose that was your room.
Hello. I actually facilitated that room, so I'm happy to keep it short. So I'll just read very fast. We had around 75 people in the room, which was really great. So the question was, what are the principles of meaningful youth participation or key elements for people? So being heard was one, and then following that, in addition to being heard, being part of decision-making processes and driving the action following the decision-making process, intergenerational collaboration, and having equal right to participation than, compared to older people, and embedding storytelling in the process, having the right tools and education to be actually able to make meaningful contributions when participating, and having peer support and making sure that that's part of the process, and that young people have the space and tools to be able to help each other realize their own dreams.
Thank you so much, Mariam, for that very concise report. Thank you. For the next room, which was on the regional sessions, do we have someone who moderated that and would like to take lead? I am not seeing any hands on the regional session breakout rooms. Perhaps we'll move on and then come back to that in a while. So the room on peace and security, it was moderated by Soumya and John, if I'm not wrong. Soumya, could you raise your hand so I can help you unmute? Okay, Soumya's not in the meeting. All right, folks, I will be moving on from the rooms that we have no one to report back from, just for the sake of our time. But please put in the chat your report back points or the key takeaways from your rooms, so that we still know what was discussed and so that people can still see what happened at the rooms, right? So yeah, moving on. The room on human rights. Naveen, would you like to take over?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Corey. I think we had around 30 to 35 participants in the room, and we also insisted on having more discussion, more informal one instead of these three questions. But we ended up in having discussion on this. So basic things which came up were like we really need to focus on few of the climate justice and racial inclusion aspects. Freedom of speech, mental health was one thing which came up very strongly, and finally access to justice issues which many caste and decent work and decent based communities and indigenous communities are facing across the globe. Affordable education, drug abuse, dignity, and maternal health care. Bullying was an important thing which came up, and of course, digital divide and violence happening against ethnic minority. Then, of course, what are the meaningful youth engagements? We talked about, we need to have youth-led community actions because there is a major lack of awareness which we are seeing, and there is a need to build youth-led movement. And the basic messages, I think we didn't actually discuss about this thing, but through this earlier discussion, I tried to frame out few of them, is how do we institutionalize youth participation in all decision-making spaces, especially those who are from the marginalized communities, and ensure inclusive spaces that kind of centers the voices of marginalized communities, be it the indigenous groups, be it the communities discriminated on work and descent, non-binary, disabled, refugees, and other marginalized youth very specifically. And of course, we need to invest in youth-led solutions. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you so much, Naveen, for that amazing insight and report back. The next breakout room was a follow-up on the Pact for the Future. Sharabe, who helped us facilitate that. Sharabe, over to you. I will ask you to unmute. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Gauri. So for this, you need to have a little bit of a context. I'm gonna share the link for the Pact for the Future here, as we don't have that time to share the context on the Pact for the Future, but I identified 5 of the main points that we discussed in the breakout room. First of all, bridging the gap between youth and the global decision making, as we are addressing the geopolitical tensions and the military influence that we're seeing currently and in the ongoing situations that our world is handling right now, and how we have to hinder meaningful youth participation, strengthening the connections between youth networks and decision makers. and how we can also institutionalize financial support for youth-led action, which is a little bit of a connection with what's ongoing with implementation regarding the Youth Fund and the Global Youth Investment Platform. But this is more in the terms of ensuring youth engagement is recognized and in essential labor, and we're bridging the financial support for community-led initiatives beyond the large organizations. And there was a lot of discussion on youth hubs and youth-led policy initiatives for funding mechanisms in the long term as well. And the last points are involved in localized and equitable resource allocations and how we can ensure that also we create publicly funded and well, all of these equitable access to resources, decision-making spaces, and the beyond consultation in the co-governance and shared power regarding strengthening platforms as the ECOSOC Youth Forum and in integrating all of these co-governance mechanisms across UN bodies. And the last part, which is the action-oriented, ensuring the beyond the pact for the future in how we can shape and how institutions can shape and allocate budgets, listen to youth, and share power. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rabe. Also, I realized that we have to go over back to peace and security because it was Irfan who was nominated to report back. So, Irfan, could you please raise your hand so I'll ask you to unmute? And please keep it very concise, about 30 to 40 seconds max, please. All right, I see you. Unmute.
Thank you so much, Gauri. Yes, very quickly, we started the discussion on asking our colleagues, like, how are they involved with youth peace and security? And we had multiple answers, including using cultural diplomacy and also having YPS coalitions in different countries. And we also heard that some of our colleagues were working on topics like end of slavery and positive peace building. And when we checked about the barriers that youth are facing in implementation and the recommendations to overcome, one specific topic that came ahead was drug cartels and their influence on youth, and why is it happening? A lot of missed opportunities, and also we discussed how we could urge our member states to enhance the YPS agenda and change their priority from economy building and many other aspects to youth development and peace and security topics. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Irfan. Now to move on, we have the last room, which was on resilience and humanitarian action, moderated by Milena, I think. Milena, are you here with us, or anyone else from the room who wants to report back? All right, I see one hand up, so I think that is the report back. Milena, yes. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Gauri. We had a wonderful on resilience and humanitarian action. I'll just be very brief about three key themes that some of the youth have raised. One is that education systems do not encourage youth to develop their critical thinking skills or push them to contribute to humanitarian action. Another one was on decolonization of aid and humanitarian work. So to really have more local-led solutions that actually improve overall sustainability, and that will be more valuable from a long-term perspective. And I think the third one was on the media. We really put emphasis on the media that plays an important role when we talk about thinking of the right narrative on resilience and humanitarian action. And if there's maybe one message that came along from this group was that there should be more capacity building opportunities for children and youth to understand how they can directly participate in decision-making processes on humanitarian action. But back to you, Gauri.
Thank you so much, Milena. With that, we've finished the report back from all the rooms. For those of you who are still wanting to put any inputs from your report backs, please put it in the chat. And I can assure you, we do read the chat and take all your messages into consideration. So I'm sorry that we have to move on, but please include it in the chat. Next up, we have the dialogue on meaningful youth participation. Before this, I want to request you all to fill in the feedback form for this session. I think colleagues from the UN Youth Office will share it in the chat, either Romril or Mariam. So yeah, so please be on the lookout for that, and we will keep resharing the link so you can, fill it out. But please do help us out with that. And I think over to Venus and Romril for the session.
Yes, thank you so much, Gauri. I am Venus Aves. I'm a member of the UN Youth Office Youth Reference Group. But before I start, I want to recognize that it's been 2 hours. So I want you all to take a deep breath with me. Breathe in, breathe out. Okay, we're almost done. We've gotten this far, so please bear with us. As you know, the UN Youth Office is the first UN entity dedicated to improving meaningful youth engagement within the UN. And the UN Youth Office Youth Reference Group is a group of 12 young people representing different youth constituencies who advise the UN Youth Office on doing their work. And one of the many areas that we work on is the follow-up of the implementation of the Pact of the Future. And it's an exciting work that involves several working groups that we see young people directly working with decision makers on how to make these processes work better for young people. And to update you all on the work that we're doing on that front, I would like to call on my colleague from the UN Youth Office, Mariam, who leads the office's work on youth engagement.
Thank you so much, Venus, for the introduction. And I know that it's been some time since we all joined this morning, so I'm gonna try to keep it very short. So quick introduction. My name is Mariam, and I, alongside my colleague Romeral, we lead the youth engagement portfolio at the UN Youth Office. So in terms of what's basically happening with the pact and the pact implementation from the perspective of our office, I want to first of all make sure that I share the link to the pact in the chat for those of you who might want to kind of follow along. So of course, pact was negotiated and adopted by member states in September 2024. If you go under chapter 4, which is around which is the chapter on youth, you'll see that there are certain actions that have been assigned to the Secretary General to take forward around meaningful youth participation. And our office has been has the honor of leading the working group within the UN entities to make progress and make sure that these commitments are realized. So we have the working group on youth that focuses on these actions under Chapter 4 that are assigned to the UN system, and then we have 3 task forces. Global Youth Investment Platform, which is exploring options for funding for youth initiatives and funding for youth-led movements, and is going to hopefully share an options paper soon, and that's going to be public. UN Youth Fund, which is looking at the established UN Youth Fund, which is hosted by DESA, to see how we can unlock its potential to really support participation of youth in different UN processes and at global, national, and at global and national level, and with a focus on underrepresented youth from underrepresented regions. And then we have the Meaningful Youth Participation Core Principle Task Force, which really is it's tasked with putting together a series of core principles that are key to implementing meaningful youth engagement at all levels. And under all of these task forces, we are hoping to conduct consultations with youth groups and young people to make sure that we capture their thoughts and ideas as we move forward to make sure that these actions are realized on the part of the UN. I'm going to stop here, Venus. Feel free to, if I miss anything, if you need me to clarify anything, please let me know.
Great. Thank you so much, Mariam. If any of you is interested in the work that the UN Youth Office or the UN Youth Reference Group is doing on the pact, feel free to reach out to us. I hope Mariam could leave contact details for those who want to reach out to the office. And now we want to hear from you. So it's not every day that you have such a diverse group of young people in one room, in one virtual room, talking about how to make the UN and our governments work better for young people. And we're going to make meaningful youth engagement work in this session, hopefully, given the restrictions that a virtual meeting has and given the time restrictions. So we're going to use several modalities. We have a Mentimeter word cloud. I'm going to read as well your comments in the chat, and I'm going to ask some of you to intervene directly. So I want to ask you all to scan the QR code that you see on your screens. You know the drill. Join us at menti.com or use the code. Before you start putting in words, I just want to say that we're going to have 2 prompts for discussion, and your input will feed into the work of several stakeholders in this room, primarily, for example, the UN Youth Office and MGCY, who are crafting reports on this subject. And it would be very helpful to let us know about your different perspectives. So the first prompt would be about the challenges that you are facing in meaningful youth engagement. So this could be, physical restrictions from entering spaces, lack of resources and other challenges that are specific to your context. And our second prompt would be your suggestions, your recommendations for action about how we can make the UN and our governments work better for young people. So I can already see comments, words forming. A lot of you are saying lack of mentorship, lack of authority. Location is a very important restriction. Being a young woman, lack of opportunity, language barriers, funding for youth. Feel free to put all your suggestions there. You can submit multiple responses even. And of course, 1 word or 2 is not enough. You can leave some in the chat box. So think about the challenges that prevent you or other young people in the country from entering spaces or from actually engaging decision makers on various issues. Let us know below. I think now we have like a strong mass of words. I can see the words getting smaller and smaller. So thank you so much for sharing your input. I think in this part, I'd like to ask some of you, brave volunteers who want to share your input. So please raise your hand. And I will choose like 2 to 3 volunteers who would want to share, unmute and share their input. And in the interest of time, let's limit our interventions to 1 minute. I know, this is very exciting, but yeah, let's try to limit it to 1 minute. I see Eugene. Hi, Eugene.
Hi. So has my time started? Okay,
Yes.
so for me, the issue I highlighted was systemic bureaucracy. I think big part of it is like the systems, especially in developing countries, are mostly from the colonizers. They have not been updated to be inclusive to like people and adaptive to the situations on the ground. So I think a big part of like what you guys can do is just do away with like bureaucracy and like direct interactions, whether it's through filming, whether it's through like fellowships, like engaging with the young people and implementing like things on ground with funding, because even like the access to funds, it's like a whole process just to implement people's ideas. That's what I'll share.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing these very important points. And there is like a lot of grassroots efforts right now to try to decolonize the UN, as we say. And you also raised the issue of funding because, access to funding is very much based in colonial arrangements, and these restrictions, prevent the most marginalized of youth from accessing these spaces. Thank you, Eugene. Can I call on Aisha? Did I read that right? Aisha, you feel free to unmute yourself. Oh, sorry, Aisha, you're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. So what I highlighted is lack of opportunities because I believe that ECOSOC is a forum that is trying to ensure that youths across the globe are being heard, are being seen, are actually making impacts to ensure that we have a better world, a better life, development sustainability for the society. But basically, I think we are lacking the opportunities, because it's one thing to have the interest that you want to go into advocacy engagement, or you want to be an humanitarian in the humanitarian role. It's another to get an opportunity. Sometimes when you tend to go all the way to apply for all these forums and advocacy, the level at which the response comes is very minimal. Personally, for me, this year I've gotten, like, I would say five rejection letters. Though I'm not stopping, because I know I have something I want to achieve. I want to be a voice to human. I want to add value to the society. I want to add value to the life of others, right? So I think it's also important that as you're doing this forum also, you're also creating opportunities for mentorship, for advocacy programs, for leadership trainings that can actually enhance us to be able to, in real time, get opportunities that we can actually be in the space that we can actually add value to decision-making process. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aisha. And indeed, that is such great added value. You know, we need more opportunities. And in order for young people to actually take up these opportunities, we need mentorship, we need training, we need resources. So thank you so much for emphasizing that. Now we move on to the next question. I know you've already touched on this in your previous responses. We heard Aisha and Eugene state several suggestions, but now we want to hear more. You know, are there any recommendations from you or from other young people in your region? Are there any best practices that you have seen to have really worked in your context? Please let us know. You can be as specific or concrete as you want. And again, I want to reiterate, you can also leave your input in our chat box. We don't have a lot of time, so unfortunately, even if I want to, you know, we cannot go into everyone who would want to speak. So let's use the chat box as a space for that as well. So I see many responses coming in. We have 41 responses so far. Mentorship is the main word that we see. Creating spaces, decolonizing the UN, funding, etc. Creating space. Yeah, I want to hear more from you. And now I want to know if there are any other volunteers who would want to unmute and speak. We would want in this part, for example, if you have anything to share, you know, a best practice that worked in your context. You know, you maybe have interacted with a national or local political leader, or a regional or international process or engagement mechanism where you feel that youth issues and young people were engaged and sufficiently looked after. I see, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Nuraim. Yeah, please feel free to unmute yourself. Nuraim Toktom Baiva. If you're speaking, you're on
Hi.
mute. Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
I'm here. Yeah, I was waiting for host allow me to speak. First of all, thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I would like to tell a bit about my background. I represent a women diaspora organization called Danaker, which is located in Poland. But basically, we are from Kyrgyzstan, which is a Central Asian country. And the challenges we have been faced over 2 years of us being here. First of all, it was challenges of getting approval from our own community, because we were targeting women migrants, young migrant women, and we were blamed as feminists, like trying to separate the women from men, etc. So this was one challenge. The second one was getting integrated to the local community because of language barriers, lack of funding, lack of visibility, etc. So one of the biggest things that helped us, I would say, is actually getting involved with platforms like MIYCP, for example, Migration, Youth and Child platform, IOM platforms. For example, in our case, IOM Geneva helped us to connect with IOM Poland. So it was really interesting how, like, if we will be getting more global visibility, it help us to get local visibility. So I would suggest also use our practice to getting involved with more global platforms that could really help then to integrate more locally.
Great,
That's it
thank
from
you
my
so
side.
much. Yeah, thank you so much, Narim. And please, you mentioned organization. Please feel free to mention their name or the link to their organization's website in the comments so other young people can engage. Unfortunately, we don't have time anymore. I know you would want to speak and engage, but please remember that we have more platforms and opportunities to engage. Reach out to the organizations that you met here today. And I hope to see some of you in the ECOSOC Youth Forum in New York next week. Thank you so much. And I'm passing it on to Rai.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Venus, for this incredible exercise. I think that it was really engaging and all of the participants really enjoy. And now we are almost going until the end of our forum that we have been for the last couple of hours discussing, engaging, also finding how or different ways that how we can achieve meaningful youth engagement. And in that sense, now I'm going to call some of our colleagues to share also some of the closing remarks that we have for this event, doing a wrap up of the different topics that we have discussed. And in that end, I'm going to call first my colleague Jugradna to take the floor and also share some closing remarks and also some reflections and remarks. So over to you, Jugradna.
Thank you so much, Florencio. So just in terms of next steps, right? So if you already signed up for this session, you would be added to the newsletter list unless you checked an option that said you did not want to be added. It was on the form. And so you would be able to receive regular updates on the forum, including contributing to the Voices of Youth report. We'll be sharing details on how to do that. I once again want to highlight that the link tree that is there, and if you scan it with your phone, the QR code on the screen, or if you go to linktree.com/ECOSOC Youth Forum, all the important links are included. We also updated it this morning, so there's like more content on it. And that's really the info hub that we're using for the forum. And so we invite you to participate at the various preparatory consultations that will be taking place in lead up to the forum that were shared by different representatives of different sessions earlier, which you saw. We also invite you to register for the virtual networking reception, which I talked about before, which is on the morning of the day 2 from 16th April from 8:30 to 9:45 a.m. And again, this is very important. We would have almost an hour-long breakouts in those. So if there were inputs you could not give at this forum, if there were inputs that you could not share in this briefing, I meant there is a space to share that as part of the official program of the session. And again, we would have UN agencies and young people, both of them involved very actively in this networking reception. Then again, design your content, quotes, and other information and share on social media. So use the official Trello board that is there. And then you can also use basically use the hashtags that were mentioned by Dessa, ECOSOC Youth, but you can also use, other hashtags like Power in Youth and there was another one, Voices of Youth, that we will be at least using from our side as we continue the youth forum planning sort of. And for those of you that are coming to New York, right? So there are some updates that I wanted to quickly mention. We look forward to, first of all, welcoming you at the forum very soon. Secondly, some of you, almost I think 300, 400 young people participated at the Know Your Rights briefing, because we understand that like participating and traveling in the current times or in general to different countries can be hard, including to the US, where the visa restrictions and processes are very difficult. But we are glad for those of you that are coming. We are working with 2 different immigration attorneys, one of who joined the briefing, to prepare a travel safe checklist for you, and it's already being prepared. It would be broadcasted to you this weekend. on things on how to, what to do, how to deal with any problems. And we will also have a team that is on ground, I think 3 or 4 young people that are ready to support you in case you have any issues at the airport or otherwise in the New York City. And this is really important for us, right? So it's not just something that we are saying in terms of talking about meaningful youth engagement, but actually doing it, so to make it actually happen, so young people have safe and comfortable participation at the forum, and especially at their arrival in New York. There's also Youth Blast on the 14th of April. Now that we have finally concluded the virtual one, we would put out a registration form for the in-person one, and we hope to give you welcome you here and have a very engaging discussion. This Youth Blast will be hybrid, so at least the main sessions, right? Maybe there are breakouts and drafting sessions that are that need to be in person, but at least the main segments would be hybrid. So those of you that are not here can also engage in that. There was also a logistics note shared from the Secretariat, the UN Secretariat, earlier today. And I want to ask you, Gauri, if you can go to the link tree again, just to show people that we have everything listed on the link tree. Yeah. If you refresh it, Gauri, you would see some more things that we added, which is the logistics board, and there's also Trello board on the top. If you want to design your content, there's logistics note for the in-person participants, and all the pre-consultations details that were shared by different program people earlier. And if you go back to the main deck, I just want to mention that if you see the next slide, right after this, yesterday, like, of course, the forum's substantive team is global, right? But yesterday, there are volunteers that are based in New York, that are young people from different organizations that are helping put together different logistics of the forum. So like being at the pass and ID, making sure to where to guide you. And they had a meeting yesterday. So you see some of them there yesterday at the UN, and they went through like a whole tour of the venue and everything to make sure that things are safe for your arrival. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jugradna. And now I would like to give the floor to our colleagues from the UN Youth Office. So Mariam, please come and also share some of your reflections, recaps, and closing remarks. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Florencio, and thank you to everybody here for sticking with us all through this more than 2.5 hours now. So first off, I just want to thank all the young people who participated today. I know a lot of you had to move things around. Maybe this is not the best time in the region you are. And also, I know that different people struggle with different levels of connectivity. So maybe you had to like drop off and join again. So thank you so much for making the time and for taking this step towards your own meaningful participation. We really, really appreciate you. We hope that we can work with all of you to further remove barriers and better understand what we can do as a UN system. So to kind of close off, I want to actually go back to something that our ASG Felipe said at the beginning, which is I think he mentioned that this briefing in collaboration with all of our wonderful partners is one part of a new initiative that our office has which is called UN Youth Compass. So this initiative is really aimed at making participation in intergovernmental spaces at the UN easier and more accessible for young people. So we're holding a series of information sessions on different intergovernmental processes. The next one would be on FFD4. So please check out our website. We share all of our information there. I'm gonna just put that link into the chat right now. But if you look at UN Youth Efforts, you should be able to I'm just going to put it right here so that people have it. So if you follow us here, you'll see all of the different steps of this initiative, and we hope to really hear from you in learning what we can do better to make these spaces more accessible for all of you. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Miriam, for sharing the insights. And also, I think that all of the participants are really, really excited for everything that is coming up. Now, before we finish, I want to check if our colleague Paul from UNDESA is on the call to also give some closing remarks. So just give me a few seconds. Paul, if you're in the call, please raise your hand. Perfect. I can see Paul, perhaps he can come to us, but colleagues and everyone, we really, really appreciate for being with us during the whole session. And we are really excited for most of you that could be coming to New York to the ECOSOC Youth Forum, but also all of you that will be engaging for the different avenues such as the side events and also the virtual elements that will be allowing to this process. But before we jump off and now we release you for your weekend after this engaging session, I really want to welcome you to take a group picture. So please, I invite you to open your camera so we can save these memories of this April 4 when we gather different youth and youth groups also to work towards meaningful youth engagement. So I will ask our colleagues to take the picture, and while you organize and open your cameras so we can see all of you.
Yeah. And Paul is on as well for last word.
Perfect. So Paul, while everyone is opening their cameras for the picture, please feel free and go ahead and share your words. Perhaps, Paul, if you can raise your hand so we can give you the floor.
Yes, thank you so much for giving me the
Amazing.
floor. Thank you so much for giving the floor. And again, as a last word, as Ugratna asked me to join the last part of the call, just want to welcome you all at the next week's ECOSOC Youth Forum. And we hope to see you in person and in New York City so that you can share your views, your ideas, your creative ideas to the rest of the world. So thank you all, and we look forward to seeing you on the 15th.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Paul. And that being said, now we are going to take the picture. So please now open your cameras. My colleagues will be taking the picture for, as we are many people in this meeting. So we are going through the different pages. So please keep your smile. So I'm going to count on 3. So please smile when I say 3. So 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Now we are going to take another one. 1, 2, and 3. Excellent. Then let's take another one. 1, 2, and 3. Great. And then a final one. 1, 2, and 3. Great. Perfect. Everyone, thank you so much. It was been really an engaging session. I'm really excited of being how engaged you are, the way that you have interacted with us in the whole session. Also for the ones that are joining or in New York, we are really excited to see you. For the ones that are going to engage virtually, also make sure that your priorities will be present and also the youth voices will be represented. And that being said, we are closing the session for today. So thank you, everyone, and we look forward to keep engaging with you in the different process. Bye-bye and have a great weekend.